What informed your presidential ambition?
Because we need to fix our country. Because, you know, the privilege I have had, and then I call it a privilege, because public service is a privilege. It's not a right. I mean, I didn't have to be appointed a cabinet minister. But as I said before, and I would like to say again, the noblest thing that can ever happen to you as a citizen of a country is to be given an opportunity to serve your country, regardless of the station or the status, whether as a police officer or, you know, as a clerk, a PS, minister, whatever. And I had that unique privilege of serving my country for 10 years as a cabinet minister. And from that privilege, you have an opportunity to actually see the country in its totality and understand the country in its totality. You come to terms and come to understand the capacities and the opportunities available in your country. And like all human beings, and as I said, this is a very dynamic country. It's a very dynamic population we have here. People always want to move forward, to ever move the next stage. When you see our movement stagnate, when you see our movement interfered with or slowed down as a result of bad decisions we are making, or as a result of the capacity of those who are making those decisions, then of course the only patriotic duty you have is to seek to help. I mean, if we were under colonial rule today, what would be the most important thing you would do to your country? Carry arms and join the others and fight for the freedom of your country. That's what I would do. And so if we are where we are today, what is the call for this generation to make our contribution to fixing the country? And our contribution is, because we know, we understand, you know, what is wrong and what has gone wrong, and we have the capacity based on that knowledge to fix it. The most patriotic thing to do now is to say, here am I, send me. I want to go in and make my contribution in fixing my country. Right. Otherwise, you could also take the other option of being selfish and unpatriotic and lying around and taking the comfort. I would stay. It was very nice to live in Washington, D.C. and drive to the World Bank offices where I was working and drive on good roads and have long weekends at the seafront and so on and so forth. That is very nice, but I don't think it's patriotic. There's a call to duty, there's something that you need to do. That's why I'm saying, if we were under colonial rule today, what would be the most patriotic thing to do? Jomo, Mwai Kibaki and all those people were out there doing whatever they were doing, but they left it. From London School of Economics, they came to build their country. That is it. So those of us who have the opportunity to fix our country, we are saying and telling Kenyans, here am I, send me. I'll go and fix the country.
Yeah. You said that you want to come and fix the country, and earlier you had said there is near unanimity that we're in a bad place. If you were to narrow it down to maybe the top 3 things that you think need fixing, what would they be?
Latif, in January, when schools open, I said the other day, and I'm willing to debate anyone who will challenge me on that, close to between 25 and 30% of school-going kids will not go to school, they will drop out. Because if we do not have enough capitation and we are now asking parents who are taking kids to day schools to pay 9,000 shillings, I can tell you for a fact, and let's be very honest about this, this has nothing to do with politics, it's facts as they are, will not afford to pay that amount of money, and therefore will lose kids who are in school. We have a nice circular from the ministry saying all schools, including sub-county schools, should pay 53,000 school fees. I mean, we know our people. We know the state of our economy in our country. How many parents are going to afford to do that? And you know, we are not a one-child society. We have 2 or 3 kids. And look at how incomes have shrunk. The Kenyan workers today are more taxed than they have ever been taxed since independence. With SHA, with the housing levy, with everything and so on, the level of pain out there is very, very serious. So we are going to witness a reversal of public policy on education that has been there for the last 20 years. So that needs fixing. I honestly think we need to go back to free primary and free secondary education. We can afford it, we afforded it, we just need to manage our country differently and we'll have the resources to do that. Secondly, everywhere I go, I've been having conversations with people, even in my own village. You know, people raise very fundamental issues about the security of the country. Some of them are very basic issues, which are related to, again, how we have regressed, you know, gone back to some of our past problems. I'm not saying that these issues did not exist in the past. They existed in the past, but leaders came together, we resolved them, worked on this arrangement and so on. I have started hearing recently people telling you from the police department about fuel and police vehicles and they cannot move and so on and so forth. We need to fix that. We worked on that, got into the police car, motor vehicle leasing program. We had a system of equipping the police officers and so on. I talk to public servants all the time, including police officers. When you meet, the truth of the matter is that they are agonizing and they're paining about some of the decisions that have been made. The medical insurance for the security sector people, especially the police, honestly is a joke. And so on. We can fix that. We worked on that before, and we can fix it again. Talk to any one young mother around, and people will tell you about Linda Mama and the reliefs they got, as a result of that particular program. Universal healthcare is an ambition for many governments in the South, in the economic South, including our own government. The truth of the matter is this, and sometimes even when there's politics and argument, we need to be also very sincere about things. This administration has tried their own way to address that issue of UHC. Let me put it that way. I cannot start by, rubbishing people and insulting them. They have tried their own way, but that way hasn't worked. So it needs to be fixed. We can go back to a way that works or stay on the trajectory that we were on that was working. So this and many others, I could go on until the cows come home. Can you see the joke, Latif, of citizens being arrested in a neighboring country and languishing there, Bob Matiang'i and Nicholas Oyo arrested, languishing there, and we have a government and nobody says anything. Minister of Foreign Affairs says nothing, government doesn't bother. I don't know whether we still retain respect in the region. We are engaged in every little conflict around as though that is the most important business, yet we are the anchor state in this region. We have enjoyed a position of respect across the board in this particular region. We don't get involved in internal affairs in other countries and support rebels and criminals who are terrorizing people in other countries. We build a relationship. We contribute towards bringing peace and stability in our region because we're the foremost beneficiaries of the same. Yeah. Because you see, we trade, our foremost trading environment and ecosystem is within the region. Now, when you see the kind of things that are happening around, if we are not hobnobbing with rebels in Sudan, we are hobnobbing with criminals in DRC, we are engaged with all manner of people. That is not the way of Kenya because Kenya has not worked that way. This needs fixing. Yeah. The only assured thing about life is change and reform. And our level of acceptance of the same will determine our level of success, whether we accept to deal with the dynamism of the society that we are in and the changes, because every generation is called upon to do new things and approach life differently, because life is not static. Those that we've done before, like effective management of what we were supposed to do, we will do. Those that require us to now approach even the system of government differently, we will do. I'll give you a classic example. As we go by, clearly, not just in Kenya, but around the world, you can look at the movement that is going on around the world and look at the debates about governance across the globe. Populations across the globe are becoming more and more demanding of inclusivity in government, that their voices must be heard. Whether it's happening here, in Asia, in Tanzania, everywhere, that is the case. There is no government you will form or work on that will not call upon you or demand you to be much, much more inclusive. In fact, the older system of management of a top-bottom approach is collapsing right before our eyes. So the innovation that we need as we go along, and I think about this all the time, is what are those structures we are going to set up, constitutional and auxiliary, that will ensure greater participation and greater involvement. The public needs to be involved, need to be much more aware of the operations of government. In other words, we're moving further and further away into the culture of open government. And one of the reasons why we're having challenges around the globe, as you can see, is because the new populations across the globe are breaking barriers. They're knocking down inhibitions to information, to access, to involvement, to their voices. So that for me is the centerpiece of what I think about how we need to move forward. Even for Kenya as young people, what are some of those things that we are going to do? I keep asking a question, a very basic question, for example. Why don't we publish, at least to Parliament, not even, people may raise issues about security and stuff like that. Why don't we publish the entirety of our mineral resources record and take it to Parliament so that the register is available. We know, for example, that Nobium is available in Kwale, rare earth is available here, gold is available there. Why is it a secret, you know, at the moment? Why is it something that only a few people know and so on? And you know, we can hide or shark away from that. But as we go forward, we don't know whether someone is going to go to court and, given the nature of our constitution, compel government to engage in that. So if government is not psychologically prepared to operate in the sun, because the next government will have to operate in the sun, we'll have no choice, or else you'll be thrown out. These are the challenges and these are the things I keep thinking about, the changes that we need to work on, how we need to approach government. And in addition to those that we've done before, like, as I said, effective management, doing the right thing at the right time. And all those reforms we worked on, I worked on when I was in the Ministry of ICT, the Ministry of Education, and the Ministry of Interior. Now, more is going to be demanded of us, and I'm ready for it.
Okay.
You see, the reason why, first of all, I think it's important to trace. You can't solve a problem you don't understand. And you cannot solve a problem whose origin you do not know. So it's important for us to take ourselves back to the origin of this problem. Arguments will be made about the scarcity of our resources, our budget is thinning, we have so many competing interests, and so on. But my response is that is precisely why we need to draw our priorities right. We cannot say we want to be Singapore, we want to be a first world country, and we are not educating our population. This is the thinking, and in pursuit of Vision 2030, this is the thinking behind the reform of our curriculum, so that we go to a competence-based education system or a competence-based curriculum. Now, this requires that we avail more resources for our education sector. What that means is that for every priority you'll have as government, you'll have to make sacrifices. So how will we fix this? We will make the necessary sacrifices in managing the size of government, managing the level of wastage in government, and availing resources for the priorities. Everything cannot be a priority, honestly speaking. For a country our size, the social sector right now is a critical priority. The health and education. And then secondly, whatever resources remain should go to sectors that can inspire growth or sectors that can engender growth. So for the education sector, it is to save resources from wastage and avail more resources to support funding of education, support like capitation and so on, so that then you can give access to the population to go to school. Because you see, this is a question of access, this is a question of completion. Are our kids completing, our education? Because bear in mind one thing, when people don't complete the education cycle and they have already government or anyone has spent resources on them and they get to a point where they drop out, that is wastage of its own.